Funding for The Router Workshop is provided in part by Hitachi Power Tools, manufacturers of a full range of construction and woodworking power tools. Today, a variation of our North American TV table, which uses gate-leg table construction. We've added the traditional table cart to create the deck table unit. In the first of a special two-part series, Bob and Rick Rosendahl show you how to pattern cut the circular top and use a unique shop-made dowel fixture for the router. That's next in the Router Workshop.
Welcome to the Router Workshop. And what are we doing today, Dad? Well, we got a patio table here, and it's kind of a neat idea. It's got three legs, Rick, but they're folding. So.
All right, let's fold this up here, or fold it out. So
let's just stop for a second here. See, this is the one that hinges on the top side, right. So we had to have a shim block here, and it does have a pin on the back side, and then this little button comes up and locks it in place.
All
and
right.
It's also got the handle.
Let's carry it with. All right, we'll flip it over here so we can take a look at it as it stands in place.
And there we go. We're all ready to go.
What are you doing first?
I want to start from the top. Usually start from the bottom, build up. We'll start from the top, and I'll make a nice round top. You work on the legs, and we'll come together.
All right, I'll go take the table away.
Well, we just put this top down here. I've got a little cleat to hold it on the tabletop. What I've done here, I've laminated some pieces up, and we got about 5 pieces here, and you can see that I've jogged them just so we wouldn't waste anything. From that, we found a center point, and on that center point, I put a nail in it. We're going to use a circle jig. That's the easiest way to make a complete circle with a router. So we'll bring a router in here. We've got a portable router. It is a plunge, and we've got the circle jig. It's bolted on, and inside of here, what I've done is I've chucked up a 3/8 spiral bit. That bit will cut clean through here, but it'll make a straight cut. We're not going to mold it at the same time, just going to be cut through it. Now, what we've got here is approximately about a 16-inch diameter circle, so I've got a series of holes in here, and when I tip it up this direction, I can find the one that I need in here. I'm going to find that 8-inch one, and it fits right over the pin. Now, we'll bring the bit up. First thing I got to do is select something here to see how deep that is. So we're going to go to some brass setup bars. And what I've got in here is I've got a 1/2-inch one, and I have a 3/8, and that's about 7/8 of an inch thick, I guess we got here, and that's what we need to set the depth. Well, on a plunge router, it really makes itself really neat to do here. We've got a pull stop system in it, and we need to release this back one. We'll run the pull stop down, run it down top of the brass bars, and I got to rotate that just so it's in line, and we'll put it back in and rotate it up, and we'll lock it in it. Now, I'd like to be just slightly deeper than that so it'll go in. You can see some previous cuts we've made in here. So we'll just run that up just a little, and that'll make sure that the bit cuts right through. Lock it in. Now, we get many questions. Doesn't matter which direction you go. It depends on what you want to keep in here. We want to keep the center one, so I'm going to go this direction around. Now, I'm going to plunge in here, and I'll plunge down and come through, and we'll probably go halfway first in it because it's hard to get rid of the chip load. Second, we're going to have to do is have some power, and I think we've got it on an off position. Don't leave your router on. And we'll plug that inside of here, and I think we're ready to roll. I'm going to start back here again. See what I've done? What I needed to do was bottom that bit out, and I didn't bottom the bit out. That way I'm not going to have enough length. We need to bottom the bit out and lock it, and now we'll go back and reset here again. And when you set it, now that happens quite often, you'll forget to bottom it out. And every time you change a bit, if you have to change in the middle of an operation, you're going to have to reset. So we'll just set that, and I'm going to run it back up just that slight again to make sure it cuts through. Don't start it with the bit sitting on, and then we'll go. Now, before we take this off here, I'm going to dig a little dirt out of here and just see, and you can see the white coming up from the plywood, so I've gone right through. So now we'll set the router aside and make sure that you unplug it. Don't leave it sit there. And get my little hammer. What I've done with this is I double stick taped this center part so it wouldn't jostle around. And remember, I put a point on it. And that's the back side. I didn't want it run right through. Otherwise, in the face of the table, we've got that. And I put a couple of little nails in here just to hold this outside. If you don't hold the outside, it has a tendency to do this and catch into your bit. Now, you could get real fancy if you liked and leave a little more operation out here and you'd have a nice frame. But we'll set that aside in here and see if I can get this off, that double stick tape in here, and see if it'll hold. And we did. Now we can show you the tape on the back side in here. I'm going to have to remove that tape because what we want to do next is that we want to round these outside edges on it. So we need to pull the tape off the side of these things. And I'm going to get rid of all my dirt and things and go to the other router. Ooh. Now, I want to round over a bit. This time we'll use a table mount system. And remember the router in here, now we don't have any springs in it. I do have an insert in here, so we'll take the insert out. We don't need that. And we need to round over a bit. The round over bit that I have has got a bearing on it. We're going to use that, and it is a quarter round over. And the diameter of the bit in here doesn't really matter, but what it does matter is the radius of the cut, and that's 1/4 inch that we've got. We've got also a 1/4 inch shank on it, so we need the shim in it. So we'll pop that into place in here, and we'll tighten that down. Got 2-wrench system in here. Make sure you tighten them. Rick always does that. If you watch him when he's doing, he'll always set his height from the top side in here, and it's a little easier to see. What we want to do is pick up most of that profile in it so you've got a really nice smooth ridge in it. If you leave a line in it, you're going to have to sand it out or else put it deeper and make it prominent enough. But I'm just going to round it, so we'll lock it in. While I've got that set up in here, we got a little hole in here. And what we need in here is a safety pin. And that pin needs to be in there like that so that you can see that pin in it. What happens, the bit turns in this direction, and it'll force you by. If you've got a pin to stop it, it won't take it away. Don't keep it way out here, and don't put it in some kind of an insert that rotates with it neither. Keep it on your pin in here so it's solid. That's your safety point. Now we'll tip it back in, and we'll plunge that router in. Get it to tuck in here. We got it all set up. Let me plug it up. I'm going to leave that tape side up in here. In fact, maybe just to see a little better on it, what we're going to do is rotate that router and the pin on the outside edge. The other thing I've got to remove is my center pin in here. So we'll take that pin off, and maybe I'll need my plier to get that one with. Just a little nail in there, and I cut the head off of the nail. It makes a good center pin for it. I had a question about circles and cutting. And what the problem happens is when you drive a nail in, people, it will get on an angle, and then that'll rotate you not exactly round. And make sure that that pin is in there straight up and down. Sometimes you might even like to drill it. Somebody said, well, how do I drill it on a drill press? It doesn't work in here. Well, drill a hole in a block of wood first, and then use the block of wood as your guide. Now, we got a nice round edge on this side. What we need to do is the underside. This is the bottom side. You can see where the pin used to be in here. Now, while I start and do this, let's have a look and see how Rick's coming along with the leg sections.
Our next step is to make the handle. What we've got here is a rough outside edge. We want to move the cutter across the edge there to smooth that up so it's all the same. The other part here is we want to cut out a spot for the handles. And all I've done is drilled a couple of holes in it. To make it so that we've got it perfect every time, and I know you're going to probably want to make more than one of these, is we've made a fixture. And the fixture here gives us the outside diameter that is required and the handle hole in place. Now, let's take a closer look at the fixture. We've gone ahead, and the biggest part here is to make it so we've got the center line on the piece. And what I want to do is I want to mark the center piece on my blank piece so I know exactly where to position it every time. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is that you want them so that they've got enough material to cut it off. The second reason you'd want to do that is if you look when I tighten this down in place, When I'm running on this side, if I was to cut it on the upside, I'd be cutting up grain and it would be wanting to tear it apart. What we're going to try and do here, what we're going to do, is we're going to start in the middle and we're going to work our way down the grain so that it stays cutting all the time. The only way with this particular type of fixture that I can make it perfect is by relocation. And this is where this center pin here gives us a chance where we can relocate it perfectly every time. So let's take a look at the cutter here we're using now. Is going to be a flush trim bit or a straight cutter and a guide. Now to start with, what I need to put in position is a safety pin. And this safety pin, because I'm touching into something where I'm going to touch the wood first, if I didn't have the safety pin, I'm going to move into the cutter and it's going to want to take it away from me. So just to prevent it from doing that, we're going to get on the safety pin first, find our edge grain, which is in the top, get started in the piece, and then let's make the downward cut and cut it. All right, let's try it and see what we've got. We're going to plug it in first and put some power to it, and let's start it up. We've now made the clean cut. All I'm going to do now is reverse the fixture, or the piece that I'm cutting, over and flip it down and line it back up on the lines on the inside here and toggle it back in place, and let's finish the cut. Now the next thing we need to do is let the router come to a complete stop, because what we're going to do is we're going to put the router bit right inside the hole. Now I have to take this cutter away, or the safety guide pin away, and I want to be able to put it inside the fixture. Now what you need to do is get yourself orientated into what direction you should be cutting. If you look at the cutter, you can see the cutting edge of the tool. You want to be moving into the cutter. So let's just move into this direction. So we're going to be moving in this direction around the piece and cutting. One thing you got to be careful here is there's going to be a little centerpiece in here, so hopefully we don't have any problems with it. Move yourself into the center of the piece and let's start it up and cut it. Next, we chucked up the 1/4" round over bit and rounded all the edges on one side. Now we move on to the leg joinery using a shop-made dowel pin fixture. What we've done with this fixture here is basically we're going to use the router so that the most important part is going to be the holes. Now once you've set it up for this pattern, make sure that you stay with it. The next thing that we're going to run into a little problem with is we need one of the fixtures. If I bring my two pieces back up here again, and let's look at them, we have to have the fixture so we can hold it in place to drill the holes in the end on the smaller pieces and on the edge. So what we've done with this is just set it on the side here. If you look at it carefully, we've set ourselves up with a couple of dowel pins and locating pins in place so that when we want to work on the edge, we just position it in place, and all we have to do now is follow the lines, line them up in the center of the fixture on the top, and punch the holes in place. When we want to change it, we'll just move it down to the edge grains, and we'll set it over on the side here, and let's show you that. Lock it in place, and we can toggle it down and cut the end grain. So let's go ahead and start doing that. I'm going to put the clamps in place, and I need a couple of clamps to hold the fixture in position. Tighten that down. And let's get down to the other side here and line that up a bit. Tighten that up in place. And let's see what we've got here for a clamp, because I want to make sure that because I'm using these dowel clamps that I've got myself enough of a fixture. I'm going to change this one here and put it down. That way I won't run into trouble when I want to use my router. Tighten that one in place. And let's tighten this one up here. Sure I'm in there. There we go. This one will hold it in place while I'm putting the fixture in position. Now, what we want to do is drill the holes on the ends here. So we'll just slide those in place and they run up, and all you have to do is line up to your line, tighten it down, and we've got the piece ready to cut. Now what kind of router are we going to use? Well, we're going to go ahead and use a guide, so the holes to match the guide, and the bit we're using here is a 1/4 inch, and I'll just slide it out so that you can take a closer look at that. Not sure you can see it from here, but we'll see. And what we've got the guide to follow, and the pin's going to go right through and it's going to mark and put the holes in place. So let's go ahead and unlock it in place. And let's line it up. So all we have to do is slip the piece in position right into the hole of the pattern and drill the hole. All right, let's plug it in and let's drill the holes. Let's take a look at it. Off position, turn it on. Let's untoggle it so you can see it. And there's the holes already positioned so that they're going to be exactly the same. Doesn't matter where you put the lines on your piece because you could get them wrong, but every one is going to be the same, both on the edge grain and the end grain. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish drilling all these holes here now, and let's get the rest of the pieces in place, and we'll just continue on and drill the holes. Okay. When you're doing the edge grain, we want to change. Slide the piece in place here. Line it up on the first hole that we're going to cut, and let's drill. Let's get the next one. I've gone ahead and got a mark, so we're just going to follow the mark in the one hole and line it up to the center of the piece, toggle it in place, and drill the holes. Down. Get lined up.
Rick, I'm ready to put the gain in for the hinges. Here we go. We've got the two legs. There's another pair like them, but this is the ones that hinge together. And we need to put these together with a piece of piano hinge. So we need to put a gain in there. And the thickness of the gain, I've got a little block here to set that. And we'll start at this end. That far, we'll leave a little spot in it. We'll go down to the other and do the same thing in it. Now, also down in here, so we got this gain to come out. And on this piece in here, this is the handle. This is the top end of the leg that fastens to it. So we need to put a gain in here for a short piece of hinge also. So I've chucked up in here, and I'm going to lay these aside here. I've chucked up in here a 1-inch bit, and it's just a straight cutter in it. And what I need to do is set the depth, and I've got a 1/8 bar in here. So we'll just slide that up here like that. We'll put that bar down inside of it, pop it up, and let me just rotate that bit. I don't have it plugged in, so I'm okay, and it's right on. Now we'll just lock it. That saves you doing it from the bottom side. So now we'll tip it up, set it down in here, lock it. Now what I need next is I need a fence. We've got to run to a fence on it. Now we need a couple of clamps. We've got some nice clamps there with a good handle on it so you don't hurt your hands when you're doing it, but they don't rattle around while you're running neither. Now the distance that we have here is between the edge of the bit and the fence. On that hinge will be 3/4 of an inch. So we'll take these blocks and we'll lay them down in here, and we'll move that fence back till it comes just up to that cutter, and right about there. Hold it tight. We'll tighten this down, and I'll check the other end, and then we'll also check and see that I got the right. Yep, that looks like 3/4 we got ready. Height is set. Now, here's what we need to do. I'm going to start with the handle. What we need to do is put that little mark out here a bit so I can see what it is. I'll transfer it here. By the way, when you're using a pencil, don't use a ballpoint pen above all things, and use a soft-leaded pencil in it, because then you can rub it out after, and you don't have to put the varnish over it and make it look bad. Now, just start with that right up against the fence, ease it in, and come back up. So what we need to do is kind of mark the location of that. And I'll take some masking tape here, and we'll put a little masking tape down. And the masking tape here, we'll set it up, we'll mark the location so we know where the front and the back end of that bit is. So we'll rotate that bit down, and we got 1 point there, and we got 1 point there. So now when we come with our lines, we'll be able to see. Really doesn't matter that close, people, because don't cut your hinge until you've got the gain done, and then you can match it up that way too. So we need some power here. So we'll get this together, and we'll plug that in, and we're ready to roll. Now, there's the gain in here for the hinge. If you want to round your hinge to match it, fine. If you want to leave it square, then you're going to have to just chisel out those square corners. Let's do the same with these pieces now. So we'll lay them down, and I'll keep the side up, and we'll start in here, and I'm going to ease it over and come up, and I got the 2 marks on each side here, so we're ready to roll. Now, there's the gain for the hinge, and we need to put the hinge in, and then when you fold that over, that'll come just like that.
Now it's time for tips from the workshop, viewer mail, and tricks of the trade on router bits, tips, and wood chips.
Installing your dowel. One thing that you got to make sure is that the dowel size matches the hole that you're putting in place. Some of the dowel that you can get today, you can have it so that it's all different oblong in shapes. There's special doweling that's made specific to the correct dimension, and that's called sanded dowel. The other trick you want to look at when you're putting doweling is that you don't have too much glue in the piece. If you put too much glue in it and then put your dowel in place, what happens is it's going to break out on your end grains here. So be sure that you're very careful with your glue when you're putting your dowels in position.
Well, we got these parts all gained out for the hinges. I'd like to talk a little bit about the location of this handle part. On the handle part, it bolts on the back side or screwed on here with wood screws. Don't put it with the grain the same direction as the top, but put it across. And the reason for that, that'll give you a little strength, prevent that little cupping on it, especially if it's an outdoor patio. We got the next one. What we need is Rick, if he's got all the drilling done, we'll dry assemble this.
Here. Let's see if we can get this
I'll just turn
together.
that over.
And that one goes over
that
there.
One there. Okay, you got them all spotted up because you drilled them.
Right, we get it all lined up.
Now, I'll leave you a little room there.
And we'll put this pin in place here.
And the other one I dry fitted, Rick.
Well, we've got it all.
Just that one little pin there. Put your finger and get it pinched.
And you get them pinched. All right,
okay,
we've got them dry
you
fitted.
hold that one, and I'll bring the other one. Now, if you lift this up and slip that one on top, Rick, what it's going to do is show us that gain in here for the hinge.
Right.
And we can maybe have a look side in here. There's that gain where the hinge will slide into, and if I turn that around like that, and just lay it first down flat, Rick, and see here, then the hinge has got to go on the end in this, and then when you turn it up, then you got all the pieces
I bet
together.
you could get this one put together backwards, wrong, anything.
Oh, there's lots of angle pieces in it, and it makes it pretty tricky. But one of the tricky parts, too, Rick, is when we open it up that we got 3-point legs in here because 2 are hinged, and they come off on actually on an isosceles triangle right in the middle of the table.
Dad and I are out of here, so join us next time right here in the Router Workshop.
We'd like to hear from you. You can email us at the address on your screen. Send your comments, questions, or project ideas to The Router Workshop, Post Office Box 608, Chamberlain, South Dakota, 57325. Or in Canada, The Router Workshop, Post Office Box 280, Ely, Manitoba, ROH-OHO. To learn more about The Router Workshop, visit us at the internet address on your screen. Next time, in the second of a special two-part series, The Deck Table Unit, Master Craftsmen Bob and Rick Rosendahl show you how easy it is to make one in your shop. Bob will show you how to create sturdy, laminated wheels, while Rick reveals the secret to creating a perfect handle for the cart frame. That's all on Part 2 of The Deck Table Unit, next time in the Router Workshop. Funding for The Router Workshop is provided in part by Hitachi Power Tools, manufacturers of a full range of construction and woodworking power tools. You can now order router bits, tips, and wood chips, a 45-minute video featuring Bob and Rick Rosendahl's personally selected shop tips and router techniques. To order your copy of this home video for $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-803-1449.